Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your friendly neighborhood dork of art, Paul. And I felt like doing a little drawing today, rather than my usual gaming related things. But specifically, I felt like, well, as you can see, I'd like to do screenshots of different games and anime and stuff that I've been paying attention to and being interested in. But kind of felt like doing something different. Kind of felt like doing everything with one hand, apparently. So today I would like to draw Goku from Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Super. And I don't want to toot my own horn, so I will say I am using a bit of a reference. Don't want to cheat or anything, but it's not stealing, it's referencing, right? So, without further ado, I'd like to just maybe show my process for certain things occasionally. And everybody always sees the final product, but never really sees all of the effort that goes into it. So I felt like maybe trying a few things out and mixing things up. So hey, if you like the video, maybe like it, tell me what you'd like me to do next. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start explaining some of this stuff. So Goku, of course, is drawn very angular, as opposed to the way he used to be back in the original Dragon Ball, where he was all circles and soft lines. But I believe it was his editor or somebody with Shonen Jump that actually suggested the idea of sharpening his lines and his line work to make it look more serious, because the more kind-hearted adventure series was actually giving way to more villain of the week battle manga. And in order to appeal more to his audience and to make it easier to draw, he started to do the straight lines rather than the circular ones to make it look more serious, as fitting the tone. And this is also one of the reasons why he aged Goku up to make him an adult rather than a child, because fighting manga, in the fighting manga, he didn't have the length to actually reach his opponents in the manga. So Akira Toriyama actually had to cheat and use different camera angles and put the character's arm in front of Goku's body to make it look like he was actually taller than he really was, which I just find hilarious. But after a while, he was like, all right, I'm going to have to make Goku come up a little bit. And I think we all really appreciate that, because now we get the muscle-bound hero that we've come to know and love. And as you might have seen earlier, this is a very sketchy, rough, pen-only kind of look to it. So I'm going to also kind of give it a bit of a similar style. It's just very difficult to draw this, hold the camera, and narrate on top of it all. Maybe someday I'll get good enough with technology that I can just kind of split it up and do one after the other. Let's see. So of course Goku, for whatever reason, with his eyebrows, whenever he's very angry, I like to call it the butt brows, where he has this little singular line down, comes out to two little spots underneath it, and then we've got his giant triangular eyebrows that come all the way out from here, come up, and over. And of course, this is probably not going to have any sort of rhyme or reason, because I'm usually spending all of my mental capacity to figure out exactly where it should be. Let's see, that looks a little bit closer. I like to give it a little, accentuate the expressions a little bit more, make him look even more angry. Goku was probably one of the first people I tried drawing when I was younger. Of course, that ended horribly, but I'm sure I've posted it somewhere up on my Facebook. Maybe I should do another, reshare that to people so they don't think that I was always just this good at drawing. But sometimes I have the issue of making Goku too flat, where you see, as you saw earlier, I had just like a straight line, but now I've had to go in realizing that that didn't quite fit with the angle that I was trying to show him at. And never be afraid to erase a few things. Of course, for the sake of the tutorial, I might be doing a little less erasing than I usually do. But I know that, like, people like Disney, for instance, always talk about never use an eraser because then you'll never get anything done. And that's partially true. I will agree with that because there's so many pieces of work. Let's see, it's kind of coming up in sort of this direction. Okay. I understand what they're saying, where they're coming from, because a lot of people that are not really used to drawing a lot will get discouraged with something, the way it comes out. They'll want to change it. Let's go with this for now. Try doing that. Start a little over here, and maybe a little bit. Move this back. Make like a second line right here. Branch out a bit. Let's see, so it should probably start more around this area. And given the nature of this tutorial, it's probably going to be a lot rougher than some of my final products, but that's all right, because having a rough, sketchy look can sometimes really help out a lot. At least I think so. He's going to look like he has such stank face at the end of this. Let's see. Hold on. Let's bring this down a bit. One of the benefits to drawing an established character yourself is you can kind of add some of your own flares to things. You can make things a bit more angular, less angular, more cartoony, more photorealistic. Let's bring this around here with his big old monkey ears. That looks so ridiculous. And since he's facing a little bit more in that direction, one ear is of course going to be a little bit smaller than the other until I do this. Maybe bring this in just a smidge. Man, I'm learning to draw one-handed. This is crazy. I mean, I guess you don't need to draw two-handed, essentially. All right, the big moment. Drawing in the eyes. Windows to the soul. I always used to think that these eyes were so simple. But I never failed to have so much trouble with them. Let's see, right around here we'll start the hair. come down right around this area. And you may also notice that I am breaking many rules about drawing with my wrist, being sketchy. They always say, make one solid line, commit to it, and all that other jazz. But honestly, it's just not all it's cracked up to be. Let's go over here and do that. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know why the A-Team theme song just popped into my head like that. Alright, this is starting to come together a lot better. Let's see, I'll put down one little band right here. And another little trick, especially with Dragon Ball Z characters, or if you're just really wanting to accentuate the hair more, is adding some extra lines right in the middle. Kind of branch it out a bit. I'd suggest not making them as rough as mine. Say like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I think it just adds, I wouldn't quite say 3 dimensions to it, but it definitely brings more to the table than just a bunch of basic lines. Let's see. Had to avoid letting my computer monitor turn off. Can't go blind. Not when I'm drawing all this. Our Lord and Savior Goku wouldn't allow it. Boy with his big ol' ears. Let's see, bring him in right here, bring that in. And with ears, you can honestly do whatever you want with ears. Nobody really cares about the details of it as long as it looks believable enough. I've seen thousands of drawings and thousands of ways for people to actually draw the inside of an ear, most of which make absolutely no sense in an anatomy setting, but nobody ever actually pays attention to them to the extent, I mean, unless you're trying to go for a photorealism kind of look to it. Like you just get one little part for the bottom of the lobe. You've got that outer ear portion that kind of comes out over here and comes back in. And then you got a little squiggles here, there. You got something else up in here. And like, it's not even the same thing as the other ear, but nobody's going to pay attention to that because they're always looking at things like the eyes, nose, mouth, jawline. And often, most people aren't even going to notice certain things are wrong about a drawing. They'll just notice that something is off about it, like something will feel wrong. And that's what I felt for the longest time when I'd like go through all the DeviantArt pages and seeing all those fan arts and things like that. And it took many years of actually drawing and figuring out how I actually built up my own style, which really is not much more than throwing a bunch of other styles in there and hoping for the best. All right, now for the eyes. Something with Dragon Ball Z characters is whenever they're actually serious, you're always going to see only a half circle. Whenever they're really looking for it. And my next suggestion is don't be afraid to try something, immediately realize you don't like it, and try something different. So I'm going to actually go smaller, wider. That looks better. And let's try, no, maybe around here. Let's try this. We can go a little farther. Ba-ba-da. Yeah, that looks nice. And another detail about Dragon Ball Z carriages, or at least the Saiyans specifically, is they never have any pupils or highlights whenever they, especially when they're Super Saiyan. But it's usually just basic, leave it blank, and that's how it is. But I personally like adding a little bit of flair to it, and that's also what the original artist of this drawing did. Is he added a little highlight down here, which is what I'll do. A little highlight right here. Excuse me. I've got to learn to get my hand out of the way as well. Alright, so we got a little pupil right here and a pupil right here. Also, actually, I think he was drawing an Ultra Instinct Goku as well, which has pupils. Which is interesting. Cool. And do those little itty bitty lines in the iris. Which a little detail I'd like to suggest is if you're ever doing that, they must always be in the middle, never touching the edges of the pupil or the end. Of course, people break these rules all the time, but that's just something that's always helped me with all my work. And of course, this is also a bit of a battle-hardened Goku. He's been fighting a bit, so he's got a few extra lines up in here. He's got that little anger streak in his cheeks right here. Goodness. He's got some scratches on the sides. He's got a few marks along here. Been punched a few times. Went a couple rounds with Jiren. Vegeta's looking on in complete surprise because once again he's been left in the dust, poor guy. If I do too many of these, it'll look like he has a beard. Don't want that. Which, I'm just remembering, Goku briefly had a beard in Dragon Ball Super. That was a very strange moment in the series. That would have been cool, though. Going Super Saiyan with a beard. Crazy. Alright. So this neckline, I'm realizing, needs to be a little higher up. And this needs to be... oh, goodness. More vertical. So we've got closer to the ear. Right around this area. I hope the vibration of my phone isn't messing up the audio at all. And we've got right here a little more vertical like that. Because he's kind of turning to look at a new threat. And normally I would suggest bringing, let's see, not connecting the neckline to the jaw. But with Dragon Ball, you can kind of cheat that system just a little bit. And then we've got you coming down like this. Boy's got necks for days. Kind of comes down. Got a big old shoulder muscle right there. Comes down a little bit more. Big old shoulder muscle. And we've got all of this action. His shirt's ripping. Dude's buff as all get out. Like, Goku single-handedly made me want to start working out. I swear. You see all the stuff that they're doing, and they're just like, you know what? I could stand to do a few push-ups here and there. And then let's see, we've got those big old pectoral muscles. Let me move that out around here a little bit. Kind of right this area. And just going totally against all anatomy. They've got like their own time zone here. And we've got a few things like that. It's kind of bending out over here. And the best part of like ripped up stuff is there's no rhyme or reason to it, so you don't really have to worry about following along if you're watching something else. And this was actually supposed to be something that bent back a bit, so we're going to kind of mess with that for a second. That'll work. And then we've got the end of his shirt right here. I'm going to think about borrowing like a stationary camera for one of my more film-friendly friends, so I don't have to hold this up with my left hand the entire time. Let's see, we got a little piece right here, like that. We got a little part that's kind of ripping off, because he is just going crazy with this power. It is literally too strong for his shirt. Can't handle it. Let's see, we're gonna get that second big old spot, because it doesn't really matter what hairstyle Goku has, as long as he has these two little big old prong things coming off of the end of his neck. That is how you know it's Goku. Oops. Just knocked my eraser off. There we go. Which, by the way, I know everybody always talks about fancy nonsense, but this is just like regular Office Depot mechanical pencil. You can see it right here. Beak. And this one, once again, from Office Depot. It's basically just, it looks like a pencil, but it's a giant eraser. So you can just keep going with all that eraser action if ever you need to really do something. It works really well whenever I'm inking something in and I have to erase all of the old pencil marks. Preferably do that after you've inked in everything and then erase it. And oftentimes I'll actually find things that I've missed. So let's see, we are back in this action. Just taking stock of whatever I've done so far, seeing if there's anything that I've missed. Let's see, we've got a few more of these fancy little lines over here. Got a few lines over here. Got a lot of lines under his neck. Let's try to do that action. And of course, after this, I'm also going to shade just a little bit, just to give it a little value there. Even though Goku's basically radiating light at this point. He did die for our sins after all. Let's try. Got a little bit of extra shadow right at the end of his mouth. Yeah, that's nice. And in the original drawing, he had a little less space between his mouth and his nose. He's kind of looking down a little bit deeper. But that's something that I'm still working on personally. Trying to accentuate the positions of faces and really give them more of a look that they're really serious about something. Let's bring this hair around. We got a little bit over here. Got a little bit right here. And then, of course, we've got his weird sort of bald spot where he just kind of doesn't have hair. And then we're going to bring that back up. And once I get some of this shading in, this is going to be it. So I apologize now that y'all have to watch this in real time here. But I do not have the ability to actually do any of that. And here's actually a little tip. If you go really light over portions of the iris, actually no, let me correct myself, the sclera, the little white part of the eyes, right under the eyebrow, kind of close to the end, actually gives it a lot more variability. Let me correct myself real quick while I'm right here. Yeah, like that. I'm really half-heartedly doing this right now. I shouldn't have done it so heavily on that little spot, but oh well, you live and learn. I've got a little bit right here. Gonna go for something basic, nothing too crazy. And of course we've got the darkness that is his shirt, but more suggestion than anything. Few nice gentle lines are going to go such a far direction with all that. Of course he is now Ultra Instinct, so he no longer has any shade in his hair at all. And let's just bring that down a little bit, and let's add a little bit of shade right in his cheeks. Showing that he's really glowing now. And we'll go ahead and branch this out just a bit more. And for the most part, that is Goku. There you go. So, thank you very much for watching this for me. Can't forget the most important part, always sign your name. I believe today is what, 25th? 25th. There we go. And that is Goku. Thank you very much, as I was just saying a second ago, for watching this. If you liked it, leave a comment. Disliked it, I don't really think there's a dislike option on Facebook at least, but maybe if it's YouTube, whatever. And hey, send me a comment if you want me to do something specific, character that you love from your childhood, something new, something different, something bold, something blue, whatever it is. But until then, stay frosty and have a wonderful day.